Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in to round number 7 here in the OWLS Racing League. We are here in Mexico City for tonight's running, and a very interesting race ahead of us, I think. It's a track with lots of long straights, lots of twisty sections, and a track where you can get lots of overtaking done as well, as we've seen many times throughout the season. I think we are in for plenty of exciting battling throughout tonight's running here. Which is, as we said, at the Mexico City circuit. We'll just quickly have a look at the track map here tonight as well. 17 turns here, 4.3 kilometers is this track with 3 active aero zones. One heading down the start finish straight, one heading towards turn 4, one heading towards turn number 12 as well. That middle sector with the S's though, such a tricky section of corners to get right, trying to carry this speed, and battery management here as well, I think going to be quite difficult. There's lots of battery to be used on those opening 2 straights, and then a lot of places to be recharging, but not so many to be deploying in the final 2 sectors. So it's going to be interesting to see how the drivers are playing their battery here. I expect we're going to be seeing them draining as much of the battery as possible by the time that they reach turn 4, recharging a little bit there and then just deploying corner after corner as they make their way through. But of course something that we'll be seeing once we do make our way towards qualifying. As for our standings, this is how things are looking at the moment. Leopold is currently our championship leader on 91 points. Ewan on 85, only 6 points behind, and Yari only a further point behind. Those top 3 very, very close together indeed. Peasant in 4th on 71 points. Cook in 5th, he's on 64. Will Smooth on 60. Quiet Boy on 50, Joker on 43, Fran Bernoulli on 31, the race winner last time out, and then Sprint F1 on 28 points, rounding out your top 10. As for the constructors, Ferrari are currently leading the way on 87 points, Audi on 84 points, all of which have been scored, I believe, by Yari. Alpine on 77 points, Mercedes on 66, Aston Martin on 56, VCARB on 55, McLaren 48, as are Williams as well, Red Bull on 47, and then Cadillac on 25, and Haas on 13 points. That is how things are looking at the moment. As for our schedule, the dates are slightly off. I believe they're 1 week behind, but we are here around number 7 in Mexico City. Next time out, we've got Baku, we've got Bahrain, we've got Shanghai, Miami, and rounding things out in Suzuka on what I believe, let me just double check, will now be on the 6th of September, if my understanding is correct. I believe we are just a week off schedule here. But yeah, that is how things are looking heading into tonight's action. We currently have got 17 drivers in the lobby, just waiting for a couple more drivers to make their way in, and then we will be able to head down to the track and see how things are going to run here. Mexico, it's a very interesting track. It's the highest track by some margin, elevation-wise. And yeah, that really does take a toll on the cars aerodynamically, because the air is a lot thinner, they get less airflow into the engines to cool them, but also the aerodynamic efficiency as well. The drag is significantly reduced, but the downforce is also quite reduced, so you do see drivers running very, very high wings around here to try and compensate for that, with effectively a lesser penalty on the straights than other tracks along the calendar. But yeah, pressed the wrong button there, apologies. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the drivers go for here, especially on this game where the effects of the wings on the straight line speed, it's not too drastic, and all of the straights around here are covered by active aero as well. I think we will be seeing some very, very high front wing values, and then just using a bit of rear wing to try and balance it out in the middle sector when you're making your way through the S's. But yeah, gonna be a very, very interesting one to watch, because I think we could be seeing quite different decisions on the wings. We could be seeing some very high wings for some drivers trying to capitalize on that middle sector through the S's, and lots of drivers also potentially going for lower wings and trying to capitalize on the straights as well, where you can make those overtakes and hope that that is enough to compensate for the loss of downforce in the middle sector. Battery as well, of course, as we've already mentioned, going to be a very, very important factor. Battery management has been so crucial on this game to make sure that you manage your pace well. Once you do get into the race, having to burn all your battery down those first two straights, it could leave you vulnerable. If you burn a little bit too much, maybe there's a chance for someone to try some sort of overtake in the middle sector where other drivers might be saving. But just looking now at the lobby, I think we are slowly but surely starting to ready up. We've got currently 17 drivers in the lobby at the moment. Not sure if we are waiting on anybody else. I'll have a quick look and see what we can find. I believe we are now slowly going to start to ready up and make our way towards qualifying. If you've got any predictions for who we think is going to be taking victory here tonight, make sure you chuck those in the chat. Of course, last time out, it was a new race winner here in the OWLS Racing League. It was the Cadillac of Fran Bernoulli picking up his first victory in Montreal. So yeah, let's see what the drivers can do here tonight. We are now making our way slowly but surely towards qualifying. As we said, 17 drivers in the lobby at the moment. Last race's race winner, I believe, not racing here tonight, unfortunately. So not going to be able to go back-to-back. But still plenty of opportunities to see some more different race winners. I think in the last 5 races, we haven't seen a repeat winner. So that is one stat to keep an eye on. In fact, Yari is the only driver to win multiple races this season. He won round 2 and 5. So yeah, we could be seeing only potentially our second repeat winner of the season potentially here tonight, which gonna be very, very interesting for the drivers. Is it going to be 6 different winners from 7 races here? I mean, all to come very, very soon. But we are now jumping over trackside towards the pit lane, and if I can find the button, there we go. I think my camera might have frozen as well, unfortunately. Might have been saying things. There we go. We are here in the pit lane now. Let's get the track map up for you guys as well. As we said, 3 straight mode zones. I mean, the one down the start-finish straight. It's the longest run towards turn 1 of any track. And I think going to be very, very interesting one as well, with how much battery the drivers will be burning. Of course, starting off the lap with their batteries completely filled up once we do head down to the grid. How much are you willing to commit for that run down towards turn 1 to try and maintain your positions out there? Agenson YOLO, the first driver out onto the track, and in the Ferrari, making his way out. We can wait and see what he will be able to do. 18 minutes, of course, for this qualifying session. Actually, Agenson YOLO out on the hard compound of tyres. So, interesting decision there by the Ferrari driver. Evidently, he has selected the harder tyre allocation. I'm surprised to see him using that set of tyres, though. I'd be surprised if there's enough time for him to still do 3 more laps on all of his soft compound tyres after this. But you never know. It is quite a short lap around here. Just around 1 minute 15 seconds. Roughly is what we're going to be aiming for. Maybe a little bit higher, maybe closer to 1 minute 20 in these 2026 cars. But nonetheless, most of the drivers out on the track now. And the first of our drivers to get a lap underway, of course, going to be the Ferrari. Next, after him, will be the Alpine of Rando. And then it will be one of the Mercedes. In fact, I believe we only have one. No, we've got both of the Mercedes in the lobby. So yeah, the Mercedes and also one of the Audis as well. But here we go, down towards turn number 1. Active aero open for the Scuderia Ferrari. Hits the brakes now. Gets that car turned in quite nicely for that first apex. Of course, the hard compound tyres not going to be performing to the maximum of the ability. Missed the apex in turn 2, went a little bit wide through turn 3 as a result. But not the worst start to the lap so far. 28.9 is the split that we've got so far. We'll keep an eye on the rest of the drivers as they make their way through, see how they are getting on. But winding our way through turn number 6 now, in towards the S's here, just looking at the sector splits. 27.9 from the Mercedes, which I still am yet to work out which one it was. Forgot to double check. We have invalidated here with Agent Siniolo. Let's jump over, and it is Joker, the Mercedes. We jump over and have a look at him, currently with the fastest first sector of anybody so far of the 7 people who have made their way through the split. Purple in the middle sector as well. He has actually caught up to the back of Joker here, and as a result, going to be losing time, I think, in this final sector, which is very unfortunate for him. Just started a little bit too close to the back of the Alpine car as we make our way through the final corner. First time on the board going to come from one of these two. Looks like it'll be Rando to set the pace here, immediately followed by Joker. 17.5 for the Alpine, 16.2 for the Mercedes, the A team in the Audi, 16.9 to put himself 7/10 off. But looking at that final sector compared to the Mercedes, half a second lost as there. Jack goes to the top with a 15.6 and 7/10 faster than Joker in that final sector. Really does show the time that he lost, getting stuck behind the other Alpine, in fact, that it was that he benefited from. ST2 for 06 goes second fastest, 15.7. The other Mercedes coming across the line, that's Captain Foxy, 15.6 for him, 1,000th of a second slower than our provisional fastest time at the moment. Paulie and C156 both coming across the line, 15.7 and 15.9s respectively for them. Let's jump a bit further back, down to MH40 and 63 in the Williams, who's coming up towards the line now. Rory just starting a lap, 7th fastest for the Williams driver on a 16.2. And I believe that was Richie jumping up. It might have been Liam Bearder on a 16.271 there. Next car to the line is going to be the Red Bull of Moist, who comes through the final corner now. Plants that power down, burning all the battery on the run up towards the line to set an 18.694. Slowest time so far, might have backed off at some point on that lap. Who else do we have out there? I think it might just, in fact, be Rory left to push at the moment as he loses the rear end. He's out there on a set of medium tyres. One of 2 drivers that we saw going out not on a set of soft compound tyres at the start of this qualifying session. I expect it won't be setting the timing screens alight here on this run, unfortunately. I'm just waiting to see the rest of the split. In fact, a couple seconds off. Looks like he has completely backed off. We'll jump over to Cook, the Aston Martin driver, heading down towards turn 1. Had some very, very strong pace at a couple of races this season. Could be looking to try and cement himself right up at the front. As it stands, the top 2 separated by 1,000th of a second. Let's see the first sector split here for the Aston Martin. Fastest we've seen so far, 27.967. It was a 28.180, so 2 tenths down on the fastest, but still a very respectable first sector time. Might have used a bit less battery, saving it for later on in the lap as well. That's one of the difficulties with comparing sector times, is it's all about how you've used your battery. Different drivers using it slightly differently can make a big, big difference to the sector times. Middle sector split, lots and lots of corners there. You've got to absolutely nail. 28.6, half a second down on the purple sector. We'll be waiting and seeing now whether he can hook it up in the final sector. Otherwise, as it stands, I think we're going to be looking at around a 1 minute 16.2 or so. Let's see, coming across the line, and it's a 1:16.3 to go 10th fastest at the moment. And as it stands, Leopold is on a very, very quick lap as well. Purple in the middle sector comes across the line to go to the top. 15.533, a 10th of a second clear of the next 2 fastest, and that is a very, very nice lap indeed there from the V-Carb driver. Puts himself right up to the front. His teammate, of course, still struggling out there. He returns to the pit lane, not going to have a time on the board just yet. Agent Sin Yolo out there now on the soft compound tyres, setting some slightly better sectors. Kept it valid so far. Thought for a second he started to invalidate there on the inside, but I think he might have backed off potentially. We'll keep an eye on it though. In fact, looking at that sector time, I'd say yes, he's probably about a few seconds off. Migrating host is not the message we want to be seeing at the moment. And unfortunately, that is our host who has disconnected. Currently sat in P11. We'll be hoping he's able to get back in. And we'll keep an eye on the Discord as well, just in case we're going to be seeing a potential lobby restart, dependent on connections, of course. But drivers heading out for their out laps now. Rando is the first driver to make his way around as he heads down towards turn number 1 here. Let's see if he can make this one work. Currently on a 17.5. A little bit of lag there as Cook was just rejoining. Hopefully that was just a temporary issue, and everything will be all resolved later on. 2/10 of a second, 10th and a half or so, up on his first lap here. Still with time to be found, of course, throughout the rest of this lap. There's a couple more drivers going to be starting their laps now. Joker was initially the fastest in this session, of course, got held up behind this very Alpine car. We're happy to know this time around he should have a clean run through that final sector. Fingers crossed. 1.4 seconds down though for the Alpine driver. Now let's jump back over to the Mercedes, then see how he is getting on then. It was the fastest in the first sector, all the way over to the Ferrari there, almost into the back of him, trying to search for that toe. 13 thousandths of a second up, still with the fastest first sector of anybody. Middle sector was not so bad on his first attempt, a couple tenths off the fastest we've seen. It was the final sector that was the big issue for the Mercedes driver. A little bit wide there as he made his way out of turn 7 there. Hopefully hasn't cost him too much time. Let's see what the split is looking like now for the Mercedes driver. 4 thousandths of a second down, lost a bit of time in the middle sector, but still pretty much identical. And this time around, no traffic to contend with. Going to be a nice clean run through this final sector. Could be on with a chance to get himself up to the front if he has a strong enough final sector here. Let's see what the time is going to be for the Mercedes driver. Comes across the line, goes second fastest. 100th of a second off the back of Leopold. And that is a very nice lap time there. Puts himself right up into contention and really showing the pace that he had. It was a purple final sector as well. The issue is that middle sector, unfortunately for him. 0.3 of a second lost as ST2406 now goes to the top, going even faster in that final sector. Puts almost a 10th and a half between himself and the rest. As we've got a couple more drivers now making their way around. Will Smooth is currently in 13th. We'll be definitely looking for an improvement of 0.4 of a second up in the first sector. A nice chunk of time being found there. As we just wait and see if anybody is making their way across the line. At the moment, doesn't seem like there's too many cars actually out there on push laps at the moment. Rory, I think, is one of them potentially on for an improvement. Not looking to set the timing boards alight though. Might just be a couple of positions found. In fact, it's just one position found, up to 15th. 17.1 for the Racing Bulls driver. Will Smooth clattering the curbs as he makes his way through the stadium section here and up towards the start-finish line. Let's see what time this is going to be for the Ferrari driver. 9th fastest, 16.0. Decent time on the board there now for him. Puts himself nicely up into the top 10 as well. We've got one of the Audis coming across the line, I believe, as well. That's into the pits, actually. And yeah, now we just wait. I think a lot of the drivers actually making their way back to the pits. C156 was 2 tenths up, went off the track there, but somehow manages to keep that lap valid. As Leopold has the second fastest time, but he's still almost a 10th and a half off, as there we go. The Red Bull of C156 goes 6th fastest, 15.6 for him. And just looking to see if anybody else will be pushing. We've got Paulie just starting his lap now. I believe that is pretty much everybody done with their laps at this stage though. Looking at sector times at least, nobody seems to be improving at the moment. Maybe the Williams of MH 1463. We'll keep an eye on how things are going for him fast as Leopold. Sorry, I didn't realize he was still pushing. 14.7 That is an incredible lap. He's just found 0.7 of a second to put himself fastest by now 0.6 of a second to the next fastest car, as Captain Foxy goes the second fastest on a 15.3, still over half a second clear of the next closest car. That is an incredible lap from the Racing Bulls driver. Let's have a look. MH1463 lost time in the middle sector. He won't be improving on his lap here. That is absolutely incredible. A 14.7. Yeah, that is incredible stuff, as Yari has managed to join before the end of qualifying. The Red Bull driver makes his way back to the pits as well. Let's see, Paulie backing off has invalidated his time. I don't know if anybody is going to be able to get close enough to even contend for pole position here. I honestly think that might have sealed the deal. A 14.7, half a second clear of the next fastest car, over a second clear of 7th place, the car we are currently watching here. That is absolutely incredible. I thought he was on an in-lap as well. I didn't even realise that he was pushing at the time. As ST2406 has now retired, he won't be going for another attempt with 4 minutes left to go. Decides to call it quits early on, a 1/10 of a second down for Paulie. He is on used tyres though, so might be struggling a little bit here, and we may see him coming back to the pits unless this is going to be an absolutely incredible lap time. Yari has also managed to join the session now, currently down in 18th position without a time on the board. Give me one lap only available for the Audi driver to try and put something on the board here, try and make something work. 0.2 of a second up now for Paulie, trying to find what could be potentially 3 positions here if they can maintain this pace of car. The rear end of the car sliding around a lot as they make their way through the hairpin there and through the peril retard. Now it's going to be back to the pits for Paulie. He knows the cards on the time is on the table. Now just got to execute it on that final run. A couple of cars are slowly starting to make their way out onto the track. Both of the Red Bulls, the Haas of Liam Bearder and the Ferrari of Will Smooth, as well as Agent Signolo now out onto the track as well. Now got an Alpine and a Racing Bulls, and I think a Williams just behind it as well, also making their way out onto the circuit. We'll jump over to Moist, who is currently sitting last of the drivers with the time on the board at the moment. A 17.6 for him. Going to be looking to try and improve on that one, of course, as we now head down towards turn number 1. Let's see what he can put on the board for these final runs. 2 minutes, just over 2 minutes left to go. 2 minutes 20 seconds on the clock at the moment till that checker flag will fly, and we won't be able to see any drivers starting any further laps. Still plenty of time, of course, for the drivers to make their way out onto the track. Still some of them sat in the pit lane at the moment as the time is slowly ticking down. Leopold with purple sector 1, 2 and 3. Such was the pace on that lap. He was fastest absolutely everywhere on the track. Nobody can touch him at the moment. And I would not be too surprised if no one does touch him at all. He's gone out onto the track still to try and improve on his time as well, which if he does, I think it's going to be a very unfortunate blow for many of these drivers. Moist, 0.2 of a second up on his time at the moment. Would not be enough to find an extra position though, so might be settling for 17th or potentially even 18th position here tonight for the start of this race. Of course, still chances to make our positions as we make our way through the running. Up towards the line for the Red Bull driver, and it is a 10.5 found, stays in 17th position. Let's jump over to Will Smooth. He is down his time quite considerably, so will not be improving this time around. The other Red Bull, C156, 2/10 up through sector 1, 2 seconds down through sector 2. He is not pushing at the moment. Paulie is on an outlap. The next car is going to be the Alpine of... Nope. I have no idea who the next car is going to be. Agent Signolo, 36 milliseconds up through the first 2 sectors. Currently sits about a 10.5 off the next car, so needs to make something happen in this final sector if he is to find that next position. There are quite a few cars behind him as well. Hopefully no cars on laps in that traffic. Does not improve for the Ferrari driver. 30 seconds left to go. Will not have enough time to start another lap. So it looks like those drivers are going to be starting down at the back end of the field. But drivers now making their way out for their final runs. Jack goes to the second fastest, 15.0. Next is going to be the Williams of, I believe, MH 1463. No improvement just yet. Might still be pushing, though. We'll have to wait and see how things go for him. Yari is making his way around, currently without a time on the board, though, so this lap really going to have to count. The checker flag is now out. Joker stays 5th fastest. No improvements coming for him. Let's head over to Cook, who makes his way through the final corner. 0.3 of a second up through the first 2 sectors. Comes across the line, 8th fastest, finding almost half a second in the end. Moist stays in 17th position. He won't be improving. Will Smooth through the peril tar and now up towards the line. Takes that 8th position away by almost half a tenth of a second. Next car to the line is going to be Yari. His one and only lap puts him 10th fastest. A very, very respectable time there from him. C156, 10th of a second up through the first 2. Loses time in the final sector, stays in 6th place, drops to 7th as Pooley now goes up to 3rd position. We've got lots of cars making their way through the final sector, but Captain Foxy is not improving. He has invalidated. Leopold comes across the line. It's not an improvement for him. He was also invalid. Looks like we're going to be seeing very few position changes at the end of this session. Looking to see is anybody out there improving. Rory is the one and only driver currently improving, I believe, 0.2 of a second up. The last driver to complete a lap, but he's off the track. That is qualifying over. That is your order. It's pole position to Leopold by 0.3 of a second. Pretty much untouchable there. An incredible, incredible effort from him. Nobody even got close. The only driver into the 14s, and he was the only driver in the 14.7s as well. Next closest 15.089. And 8 positions covered by 1 second in the end. Will Smooth over a second back in 9th position. That is incredible, incredible stuff. A well-deserved pole position for the Racing Bulls driver. And here you can see those gaps. And a track so short like Mexico, it is surprising to see the cars so far apart. But there are groups of cars very, very close together. In fact, ST2406 and Joker finished with exactly the same times out there. Multiple instances of cars finishing less than 1/10 of a second off of the next one. But it's Leopold, Jack, Paulie, Captain Foxy, ST2406, Joker, Liam Bearder, C156, Will Smooth, Cook, Yari, Richie, MH1463, the A-Team, Rando, Rory, Agent Signolo, and Moist is your finishing order after qualifying. And we will be making our way down to the grid now, getting ourselves ready for the race. And it is looking nice and sunny here in Mexico City. Going to be a pretty straightforward race for the drivers, but Mexico City, quite an interesting one strategy-wise. The tyres overheat quite a lot in that middle sector. There is potential for a 2-stop strategy here. There is potential for a 1-stop strategy. It's going to be interesting, of course, to see how things do play out. With safety cars coming into play as well, you really do not know what to expect strategy-wise. A lot of these drivers may not have done too many races at Mexico on this game as well, and as a result it's going in with a pretty clean slate overall. So going to be very interesting to see how everybody does decide to go with this one. Maybe some drivers opting to start on the mediums, some on the hards. I'd be surprised if we see anyone starting on the softs though. So we just wait for the drivers as they select their strategies, their setups, everything like that. Get the fuel loads into the car. And here we go now, down to the grid. 5 lights are on ahead of the drivers. And we are racing here in Mexico City. Good start from the pole sitter, gets away very nicely. Pooley also looking to immediately apply some pressure, third on the grid, making a very nice start. Jack fighting back though, and here comes Captain Foxy as well. The battery's being deployed. Here comes Jack now to the outside into the first corner, trying to take the race lead potentially, swooping his way around the outside into turn 2. Now switches to the inside line, back to the outside, tucks in for the switchback on the exit though. This is an incredible move already on the opening lap here for the Alpine driver. Now has the outside line heading towards towards turn 4. Has he burnt too much battery though as we hit the brakes heading into the corner? Leopold able to defend his lead. Further back, cars battling side by side as we make our way through turn 6. Everyone bunching up in towards this set of corners. A car spinning, the Audi going around. That is the A-team. Unfortunate start for him. Jari also losing a couple positions further back. The two Audis not had the best of starts to this race, but Leopold crucially holding the lead up at the front of the field there. One of the Ferraris going side by side there. That was Agent Signolo and Rando in the background battling away as they make their way through this middle sector. And having to cut the track there is the Ferrari driver resorting to the escape road. Rory and Shaw also battling there. Rory getting the better of the Red Bull driver, but we make our way through the Perotada now, and Leopold is your race leader after the first lap. Managed to hold on to that position. Jack, a couple, now 7/10 further back, lost a bit of time there. Might be under pressure from Paulie heading down this start-finish straight, who has the battery available to try and defend the McLaren driver. Gaining in that slipstream, going to look to the inside, now to the outside. Tries to sweep straight around. Big lock up there from Captain Fox. He goes very deep. His teammate makes their way through as a result. That was almost front wing loss to spun McLaren, and a big disaster for the Mercedes driver. Fortunately, managed just about to get the car stopped and hold on to that one. Another lock-up heading there in towards turn 4 as well. Not been the best of starts now for the Mercedes driver, who seems to be struggling a bit already. On the brakes, now under pressure from ST2406 in the Cadillac. Let's see how things are going to play out. Jack has spun through turn 7 off. The driver sitting second, now sitting down in 9th, make that 10th, 11th, losing more positions through this middle sector. Under pressure now from Jari as well. Immediately you're seeing the issues with the tyres here. Rory also, I think, having a spin in a very similar location. Jack under pressure now from Cook, who thought about an opportunistic dive after Jari was able to find his way through, who's now applying pressure to Richie as well around the outside, heading in towards the penultimate corner. Here comes Jack as well, trying to make some moves here, trying to make this work. Richie hung out to dry on the outside. Cook also follows through as they make their way on to start the third lap of this race. Leopold is now 1.3 seconds clear up at the front of the field, able to make moves in these opening stages. ST2406 and Captain Foxy swapping positions. Here comes Cook to the outside of Jack, not able to make that one work. Heading in towards the first corner, might be able to try something heading towards turn number 4 though. But as it stands, that Alpine not looking too comfortable already, especially on the exits of corners. The rear starting to slide around a little bit, and that is not what you want to be seeing on lap 3, starting on the hard compound tyres. We'll get those tyres up quickly for you. It's mediums for most of them, it's hards for ST2406, Jari, Jack, the A-team Moist, and Agent Signolo. The driver was opting for hard compound tyres. 3-second time penalty as well for the A-team. Picked that up on the opening lap of this race. Not going to be too happy with that one. Here comes Liam Bearder through the middle sector, heading towards the stadium section. Now has the outside line. The Ferrari later on the brakes, able to hold onto that position, although again looking to the outside, really able to apply the pressure and try and set something up, potentially heading onto the start-finish straight here for the Haas driver. Can he get the better exit, get the run? Looks like he's pretty close, 0.2 of a second off the back of Will Smooth as we head out of the Perotada onto the start-finish straight. Gaining in the slipstream should hopefully, if he's got the battery available to him, be a pretty straightforward move. But now Will Smooth is starting to pull back away, and the cars behind also closing in. Not as straightforward as it would originally seem. Liam Bearder still stuck in 7th position. Leopold still sitting at about 1.6 seconds clear. Hasn't been able to extend the gap, but able to maintain it, and that is the crucial thing. Captain Foxy right on the back of the Cadillac here as well, as we make our way through turns 5 and in towards turn 6 in just a moment. The Williams further back of MH1463, almost pushing the Red Bull of C156 through the corner. These cars so close together, and here comes Jari down the inside into turn 7. Goes deep, and there's contact. Jari losing the car, and that is unfortunately going to cost them both several positions. Jari now down to 13th position. Really unfortunate stuff as there. Round goes Richie as well. Lots of cars struggling here. I think MH might have had an illegal overtake potentially further back. Richie and Rando swapping away as well. Lots of drivers getting caught out in that middle sector though, and that is a crucial moment that we have been seeing. The rear tyre just overheating in the middle sector, and the drivers not ready for it and having to compensate, sometimes not able to compensate, and as a result ending up facing the wrong way. Joker 0.3 of a second off of Paulie fighting over second position here as we make our way through. Both of these drivers on the medium compound of tyres. ST2406 in fourth position is your leading hard runner, currently sitting 3 seconds off of the race lead. I would of course be hoping to be a little bit closer than that, but given the pace we saw in qualifying, I don't think the win is exactly his fight tonight. I expect we're going to be seeing Leopold well and truly walking away with this one here tonight. But you never know what could happen. Of course, he could get caught out in the same way that we've seen many other drivers as well. Jack closing in on the back of C156 in the Red Bull, making our way through the middle sector. Not quite close enough for a move heading into turn 7, but maybe here towards the stadium section, towards turn number 12. Going to try something to the outside. And unfortunately, the Red Bull having to give that position up. We've got yellow flags out as well. That is Rory Round down at turn 6. And he is quite a long way off the back of the pack at the moment. Over a pit stop back, I'd expect, at this stage of the race. Agent Signolo and Moist battling in the stadium as well. Down the inside, a bit of banging of wheels between the pair of them. But Moist able to hold on to that position for the time being. The gap to the leader is now 2 seconds. Woolley dropping a little bit further back, bit by bit. Unfortunately, quite costly for him at the moment. Richie and Rando once again continuing their battle as we make our way through turns 2 and 3. Rando getting quite close to the back of him. Better exit potentially. Might be a chance heading down towards turn 4. As Cook also making moves further up the road. Gets himself through up into 9th position. Yari once again having to cut his way through the field. Very soon going to be making this move as well. What's been the best of starts, unfortunately, for the Audi driver. Is there a spin in front? Who was that? That was Captain Foxy in the Mercedes, losing the car, and another driver in the middle sector getting caught out. Yari follows through, as does C156. So Yari did actually manage to find its way through. As there, C156 going deep in the braking zone, and unfortunately going to lose that position back to the Mercedes. We missed when Yari got through in all of the chaos, but as it stands, he's up into 9th position now, and Joker starting to struggle a little bit. Is now under pressure from ST2406 on the hard compound of tyre. The gap to the leader has actually stayed quite consistent, still at around 3 seconds, so not doing too bad of a job. Maybe those hard compound tyres starting to come into play a little bit for the Cadillac driver. Might have a chance to start applying some pressure here. Maybe he can try and find his way through up into those podium positions very, very soon. Right on the back, heading in towards turn 6. Not going to go for a dive there, though. Just going to sit behind, bide his time, and wait for the perfect opportunity. Might just be looking to save some battery up here as well. Ready to try and immediately mount an attack on Paulie as well. It's all about the battery management, the battery strategy, and how effectively you can manage it while maintaining pace on this game. Yari gaining on the back here of Cook, looking to the inside, heading in towards the stadium section, trying to take what will be 8th position. Outside line now heading into the hairpin. What will he be able to do? Going to try and hang it around the outside. Keeps the nose there just about. Going to squeeze his way through inside line, heading in towards the Peraltada. They're still side by side, the pair of them, heading onto the start-finish straight. Yari will pull himself clear, though. By the time they get onto the straight, Cook tucks into the slipstream. Might have a chance to try something here down towards turn 1. Further up the road, lots of swaps are happening. ST2406 side by side with Joker as they make their way through turns 2 and 3. This is for the podium, and ST2406 finds his way through further back. Will Smooth also gets past Liam Bearder. Jack also trying to find his way through as Liam Bearder dropping the car on the exit now. So many drivers struggling with the rear tyres. Yellow flags are out once again as Liam Bearder drops himself outside of the points now. Incredible, incredible stuff. We've probably seen almost half of these drivers spin in just the opening 8 laps of this race. Jack on a recovery drive right on the back now of Will Smooth as we make our way through the S's side by side almost for a brief moment, looking for the switchback now as we head our way through the straight line zone here. Towards the braking we go. Jack looks for the switchback to the outside into the hairpin now. going to go for, I think, another switchback again, just try and line up the exit. Bit slidey as he gets onto the power. Time penalties coming through. Agent Sinjolo up to 16 seconds. Captain Foxy also picked up 3 seconds. We head on to the start-finish straight now, though. And Jack, 0.3 of a second behind. Is he going to be able to go for the move here? SD2406 also closing it up at the front. Not going to be close enough, I don't think, for an overtake. But Jack with the inside line does manage to squeeze his way through up into 5th position now. ST2406 up at the up in 3rd position, still holding on to that one for the time being. Not close enough for the move. Liam Beardout has come in for a pit stop as well, as has Rory and Captain Foxy. All 3 of those drivers making pit stops in this race. They are onto the hard compound tyres for all of them, starting on the mediums. That does suggest a potential 2-stop strategy, though, if I had to guess. So interesting to see those pit stops coming so early on in the race. Here comes ST2406 right on the back of the McLaren. Going to look to the inside, heading into the stadium section a bit early, maybe than he would have wanting the boost mode for the next lap, the overtake mode, sorry. But going to have to settle him ahead now, get into the groove and start to push after the back of Leopold, who is now under 3 seconds ahead of the Cadillac driver. Will he be able to close that margin? He's going to have the better tyre, the faster tyre, at the end of this race as well. So maybe an opportunity for him to try something later on. And also the other driver who started on the hards is Jack. He's also closing in as here comes Yari to the inside, heading in towards the first corner, as we have got Richie retiring from the race in the pit lane. Yari is up into 6th position now. Still could be a chance maybe for a podium if he can get some good moves on the board. This is Jack on the back of Joker, trying to set up the exit here, heading in towards turn number 6. Hard compound tyres definitely starting to work better, and now with a better exit heading towards turn 7. It's going to be the outside line for the Alpine driver, but he's got so much more grip, he can swoop his way around. That's 4th position now for the Alpine on the hard compound of tyre. Paulie, the next car up ahead, has been dropped already as Joker picks up a 3-second time penalty for track limits as well. The gap to the leader is now 2.5 seconds. ST2406 is closing in. This rate is probably going to catch him by around lap 15, which is roughly, I expect, when we're going to be seeing Leopold coming into the pits, although has gained even more time in that final sector. But this rate could be catching him in a matter of just 3 or 4 laps here, potentially. Here comes Jack as well, down the start-finish straight, gaining on the back of the McLaren driver. Does he have enough battery saved up to try and make this move stick? Going to look over to the inside line. Does Paulie have enough to defend? Doesn't look like it. It's going to have to settle for the 4th position now. The 2 hard runners up near the front make their way through. Yari also, one of the drivers starting on the hard compound of tyre. Going to be looking to try and fight his way through. Got a couple of pit stops being made at the moment as Rory picks up a 3-second time penalty for track limits. Agent Signolo, I think, also with a speeding penalty, unfortunately for him. But yeah, Cook, Rando and Moist into the pits for a change of tyres. That's the tyre situation as it stands now. Only 6 drivers left out there on their original medium tyres. ST2406 still reeling in our race leader. The gap now 1.7 seconds. Heading into the stadium section. More time to be found here as well, as we saw on the previous lap. This very well could be an incredible lap here for the Cadillac driver, and if Leopold doesn't come into the pits, I think he's going to be under pressure very, very soon indeed. He does in fact stay out. The gap now 1.5 seconds as they make their way through the peril retarder and across the line. Last time around, 20.2 for our race leader, 19.5 for 2nd place, 19.3 for 3rd place. So these top 3 drivers are slowly but surely all going to start to close up together. Here comes Yari as well, looking to the inside of Joker, heading into the first corner. Got close, not quite close enough to try the move, but he's going to have that better grip, of course. Maybe he can try something towards turn 4. We've got yellow flags out down at turn 6. Another spin for the V-carb of Rory. As into the pits comes C156 and Agent Signolo. We have a virtual safety car deployed, and that is in fact, I believe, for the stricken Racing Bull Stuck down at turn 6. The virtual safety car has come out, and Rory has been disqualified for parking in a dangerous location. And now this is going to be a very, very interesting moment. Is this going to stay out long enough for Leopold to come in? He is going to be the crucial one because he's on the medium tyres. He can fit some hard tyres and potentially get to the end of this race. ST2406 and Jack both could not benefit. Drive through the virtual safety car has ended. The A team has picked up a drive-through penalty, so that is going to be very, very good for the likes of ST2406, who has lost time, unfortunately, under the virtual safety car, now 2.2 seconds back. But the penalty that would have come as a result of Leopold pitting under that virtual safety car. Oh, a big slap! Big snap there, making their way through the final corner, almost ended up in the pit lane there for Leopold. That was a very, very scary moment there, as Joker now coming into the pit lane. But yeah, the penalty of having a rival pit under a virtual safety car effectively would have been so much worse than that second they've lost. By ensuring they didn't pick up a drive-through, it's not the end of the world, I don't think. Of course, if they finish within a second, they might think so. MH1463 also into the pits. So only 3 more drivers left out there on their medium tyres now. Leopold, our race leader, is one of them, being chased down at the moment by the Cadillac of ST2406, who is currently doing his best to try and close in and hope that this is going to be enough, as again you can really see Leopold is struggling out there on these tyres. The gap is now 1.4, 1.3, 1.2, 1.1. It's coming down corner after corner. ST2406 is now going to have overtake mode available. Surely we're going to be seeing Leopold coming in at the end of this lap, because look at the gap. It's visually dropping by 4 tenths in just one corner there. A couple more tenths here. This is well and truly unraveling, I think, for our race leader, who does make his way into the pit lane now. ST2406 will take over at the front of the field. Jack 1.2 seconds behind. That gap is coming down though. It's now only a second to the Alpine behind. Yari is the 3rd place driver now, as all 3 of the medium runners make their way into the pit lane. So for a brief moment in this race, every single driver out there on a set of the hard compound tyres of varying ages. The crucial thing now is how quickly can Leopold make up some time here. Captain Foxy has come out in what is, as it stands, the net lead of this race. 2.7 seconds clear of Leopold, although that gap probably going to be eradicated rather quickly with the tyre advantage, the pace advantage, and of course just the clean air that Leopold is going to have to push into. He's been doing so all race long. He knows exactly what it feels like, and those fresh tyres are going to be feeling like a very, very big relief for the driver who currently holds the fastest lap of a 17.5. Of course, the time penalty as well for Captain Foxy. Now the question is, how long can we go on these hard compound tyres? I expect they're going to the end. It's 23 laps required, but that would indicate another 10 or so laps for ST2406, Jack and Yari still out there on the track. And this is why it's going to be so crucial to look at this sector split through the middle sector, over a second a lap faster for Leopold. Just in that one sector alone, he gained over a second on the drivers up at the front. At this rate, he is going to be catching them before they even have the chance to pit. And then they're going to have the same tyre advantage. It's going to be a very, very interesting race if this is the way it's going to play out. The gap to Yari, as it stands, 11.9 seconds, further 4.2 to ST2406 and Jack. Joker right on the back of Paulie here. As we make our way towards turn number 4, might be thinking about an overtake. Pretty equal on the tyre life for these two though. No major advantages coming into play just yet. Going to be done pretty much on their pure pace. Leopold now 1 second off the back of Captain Foxy. Very soon going to be considering an overtake further back as well. 3 wide here as we head towards turn 6. Liam Beard, Rando and MH1463 all battling away side by side as they make their way out of the corner. They're still side by side heading towards turn number 7. Liam Beard holds that position ahead. Rando slots into the 2nd position in this train. MH1463 losing out in the end as well. Incredible stuff though, as they ran 3 wide and did it pretty much without any contact at all. This is a swap of positions. Up at the front of the field, Jack, after the spin he had earlier on, fought his way through to briefly retake that race lead, but could be under pressure here from ST2406, who is trying to set up a much better exit. Tucks back into the slipstream now of the Alpine driver, as Leopold also finds his way through down the start-finish straight up into 4th position, and very deep there from Jack. Can ST2406 tuck it in, get the better exit? Doesn't seem like it, unfortunately. Going to have to sit behind for the time being. Joker also through on Paulie around the outside through turn number 3. The Mercedes driver picks up that 7th place position. Paulie looking to the inside though, trying to fight back, and successfully doing so. Goes deep. Are we going to see a carbon copy? Joker trying to set up the switchback. No, he's just going to tuck back in behind and bide his time at this moment. Looking at the times, on the last lap, Leopold was 2 seconds faster than our top 2 drivers. He is gaining at an incredible rate of knots. Right, at this rate, he's going to be catching them long before they make their pit stops, I expect. The gap currently is 13 seconds. And yeah, again, he's finding almost a second in every sector, or at least on this lap. He is absolutely flying out there. The gap just tumbling down. We'll jump back over to our race leaders. Out of turn number 3 they come, only a couple tenths separating them at this moment in time. Gets close on the brakes, nowhere near close enough to be thinking about a dive bomb for the time being. The most important thing for these guys though is they cannot fight too hard, otherwise they will just be costing themselves race time to the rest of the drivers around them. Keeping a watchful eye as well on Leopold. They'll be able to see the gap to the V-Carb driver, see how quickly it is coming down, and prepare themselves for what is pretty much going to be a broad daylight robbery with how much faster he is able to push. The gap now down to 11 seconds, another 2 seconds have been found. 10.8 the gap. It is just coming down corner after corner, as we were seeing with the mediums and the hards in the opening stint of this race. Now, after some of them have pitted for their hard compound tyres, we're seeing a pretty much a reversal. So we start lap 18 of 36 now, almost halfway through this race. Top 2 currently separated by 6 tenths of a second. Jari is closing in. Leopold is closing faster though. And I think there's a potential possibility we could be seeing a 4-way fight just as these guys are ready to head to the pit lane, which is going to make things a little bit complicated. Liam Bearder, another spin through the peril tarda. Unfortunate stuff for him, gets back going once again. And missing the front nose of the car, not the front wing though. His front wing is currently floating in front of the car. Will be interesting to see how well that can produce some downforce. Hopefully his feet aren't getting too cold. But moist through up into 13th position now. Leopold 8 seconds off the back of our race leader. The gaps just continuing to fall away. Time being leaked absolutely everywhere. Will Smooth closing in on the back of Joker, looking for 8th position. A time penalty, of course, for the Mercedes driver as well, going to help him out a little bit. 3 seconds is that penalty. So through the stadium we go. We are over half race distance now. Liam Bearder picks up a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. That wasn't for warnings, that was a straight penalty. The A-team has also come into the pits. One of the first, in fact the first hard runner. The second hard runner, sorry. A-team is on, that's Agent Single, sorry, on a 2-sub chassis. The A-team coming in for a set of medium tyres here now, as up ahead we can see Paulie and Cook side by side. Paulie straight round the outside. Has that better grip and finds his way through. Another 3-second time penalty for Liam Bearder as well. Not been his day. 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And that is going to be a retirement from the race for the Haas driver. Leopold now just 6 seconds off of our race leaders. 2 seconds a lap he has been catching at. At this rate, he will have caught before we reach lap 23, which would be the expected rough pit stop time. depending on how long you want to go on the set of medium tyres. Of course, 13 laps is the longest we've seen so far from anybody. Still, the drivers close together. Jack and ST246, half a second separating them. 1.8 further back to Jari, 2.8 further to Leopold, who is continuing his march of dominance. 17 laps to go in this race now, and the Mercedes of Joker looking to apply some pressure here as well, as MH1463 picks up a 3-second penalty. Joker to the inside of Cook, closing in, trying to slot into the gap between himself, between Cook and Pooley. Joker does manage to find that gap in the end, up to 7th position, although will lose both these positions behind him as a result of that time penalty come the end of the race. Cook going to be hoping to get through so he can continue his battle with the McLaren up ahead, trying to set up a better exit. Nothing coming here, though, for the Aston Martin driver. And Leopold now 1.6 seconds off the back of Jari. Here comes Will Smooth to the inside, heading into turn 7, trying something unorthodox, trying to find his way through. Cook cuts the track as well. That's going to be a track limits warning for the Aston Martin driver. Will Smooth finds his way through in the end as well, but they've lost about a second to the car in front. Let's head over to Leopold. Into the pit lane comes Jack. So interesting decision there, going on as early as lap 20. 20 laps completed, going to be 16 on the medium tyres. An interesting decision there from the Alpine driver, sorry. And Leopold now can start to apply pressure to Jari, who is starting to apply a bit more pressure to ST2406. That gap is still coming down lap after lap after lap, now down to 1.2 seconds. But yeah, Leopold is basically a pit stop ahead. And that really does not bode well for the likes of ST2406 and Jack, who, as it stands, are going to be coming out a bit of a way off the back of the train of cars we saw fighting for what is now going to be, well, 7th position, because they've dropped the cars ahead. Leopold right on the back here of Jari, trying to set up a better exit here. 13 lap fresher. Hard compound tyres, going to head to the outside line, heading in towards turn 12, and Jari will not fight that. We've got yellow flags out once again. That is Will Smooth, who has had an off, managed to get back going though, and only lost 1 position as a result. Now we watch the drivers up at the front, still saying too early for a pit stop. Jari does not, he is coming in, I believe. Yes, he is. Gets the car slowed down nicely, and now it's just ST2406 yet to make his mandatory pit stop. And going to be passed, heading down towards turn 1. Nice easy move there for the Racing Bulls driver. No one there to contest it. And it sees him through up into 1st position once again. And the question now becomes, what can Jack do? He has undercut Jari. That's the first thing he has done. The pace definitely seeming very strong. He's gained 3.5 seconds in the last 2 laps on Will Smooth in front as well. That is for certain. Just got to navigate the traffic and hope he has enough tyres available to push and catch up, but the tyre advantage is not as big. It's only an 8-lap tyre advantage for the Alpine drivers. Agents in YOLO picks up another 3-second time penalty. Here comes Will Smith looking to the inside of Cook as they make their way through turn number 6. Turn 7 coming up now. Cook has got the inside line but slots in behind Will Smooth. Not going to be contesting that one. Now Jack arrives on the scene with his brand new medium compound tyres, and this should be a textbook overtake there. Gets a much better run off of the S's, and to the outside, heading in towards the stadium section, squeezes his way through ahead of the Alpine driver. Another 3 seconds as well for MH1463. That is actually his 3rd 3-second time penalty that he has collected over the course of this race. ST2406 is still sticking it out there on those hard compound tyres, still yet to make that pit stop as Jack finds his way through on Will Smooth up into 5th position now. A further second to Joker, the next car up ahead, and he is really starting to push. It was the fastest lap last time around as well. Purple in the first sector once again. Yari also setting the timing screens alight. Personal best in Sector 2. Personal and overall best in Sector 3. And now personal best in Sector 1 as well, as Jack is now through on Joker. And now has clean air, apart from one car, for quite some time. Just Paulie, the next car up ahead of him, and ST2406 after that. And then it's just Leopold. That is everybody. Let's see, is it finally pit stop time for Mr. Cadillac? It certainly is. Makes his way into the pit lane now. Was quite a conservative pit entry there from him. Well, let's see them. What can the Alpine do? His fastest lap there for Yari. Yellow flags out for one of the Red Bulls there. Will Smooth and Joker side by side as well, heading in towards turn number 1. And Will Smooth through up into 4th position. .11 seconds between Leopold and Paulie. We've got yellow flags. That is our race leader. Leopold has spun. Oh my goodness, that is the worst case scenario, and I think it is from wing damage. This could really shake things up here now, because the gap is only 3 seconds to Paulie behind, who is on the same tyres as him, but Jack is only a further 2 seconds. And that damage going to be so costly for the Racing Bulls driver. This really does shake things up. This could very quickly become a race. Whether Yari can keep up with Jack. He's got a couple cars off traffic yet to navigate a couple seconds further back, but Leopold is into the pit lane, and that is devastating news for the driver who at one point was 0.7 of a second clear in qualifying. Eventually ended up on pole by 0.3 of a second. It was an incredible display of pace. He seemed so comfortable throughout this race, and one small mistake puts himself into the barriers with damage, and that is going to cost him dearly. He's currently down in 8th position, but going to lose further positions, I think, as well. Cook is also coming in for a pit stop here. Make that now 10th position for Leopold, where he does eventually emerge. But now this is a battle between the McLaren of Paulie and the Alpine of Jack. 7-lap fresher tyres for the latter. And the next best cars are Yari and ST2406, but they are, if I look at my timing, about 5 seconds back and almost 10 seconds back. The gap's quite big to those guys, and as a result, I think this is pretty much secured in the hands of Jack here tonight, unless something goes very wrong. We've already seen him have a spin earlier on in this race. You never know what could happen later on, as Leopold is now through on Rando. 22 seconds back for Leopold, so unfortunately very unrealistic to expect him to be making his way back into the fight for this race. Just a little bit too late on for this one. Yari through as Joker is into the pits. Only 12 laps, 13 laps now completed on those hard compound tyres, and he's going for a set of the medium, so that is a very interesting decision there as well. I'm not exactly sure what the thought process is going to be behind that one, but Joker going for another pit stop. This is going to almost save Leopold in a way, because he now is going to gain a couple extra positions, maybe get a bit closer to a couple more drivers as well. He's now in 8th position with the next car 1.8 up the road, carrying 9 seconds of penalties, followed by another car carrying 3, but Leopold is now also carrying 3 seconds of penalties, so that kind of undoes the penalties that we're seeing up ahead of him. Of course, the 9 seconds would now become a total of 6. Jack is only a couple tenths off the back of Paulie, and a potential overtake to take the lead of this race. We're on lap 26 of 36. 10 laps left to go here in Mexico City, and we might be about to see the move that defines the race here tonight. The gap to Yari is 4.5 seconds. Still a long way for the Audi driver to close if he wants a chance to pick up another race win here this season. But here comes Jack now gaining down the start-finish straight. Good run heading out of the Perotada, and looks to the outside, heading in towards the first corner. Going to try and battle there. Paulie trying to give it absolutely everything on the old hard compound tyres. Tried to stick with it. Couldn't quite get it done. Going to tuck in for a switchback potentially. The grip is just about there. Tucks back into the slipstream once again. Is he going to challenge all the way over to the inside? Looks to the outside now. Trying to stick it on the brakes. On the old hard compound tyres. Has the inside line for turn 5. This is incredible battling here from the McLaren driver. Doesn't have the traction on the exit. Jack is off the track. That's a 3-second time penalty for the Alpine driver. And Paulie has crucially maintain track position to the inside, to the outside. Jack cannot find a way through with a 3-second time penalty to his name as well. This now becomes a defensive masterclass for Paulie potentially, and dragging Jari back into contention, who is now 3 seconds off the back of Jack. But Jari picks up a 3-second time penalty as well, and all of a sudden we have to wonder, is maybe ST2406 the one who's going to be challenging? Here comes Jack to the inside in the stadium section, goes for the late dive to the inside, heading into the hairpin. Jari closing in all the while as this battling takes place. I'm not sure who is going to have the overtake mode available to them. Couple more cars making their way into the pit lane. But let's see what's going to happen now as we head our way down towards turn 1. Paulie, despite being on so much older tyres, a step harder as well. He's gaining towards turn 1 once again. He's going to keep himself in the fight here tonight. That 3-second penalty could prove costly and ultimately decide the fate of this race here. Paulie trying to stick with him, couldn't get the move done through there. Tried his best, not the grip available though. Paulie on the exit, can he try towards turn 4 like he did last time around? It doesn't look like it. All the while though, Jari is getting dragged into contention, as is ST2406. He sits 5 seconds off the back of our race leader. 3-lap fresher tyres and still a bit of a ways left to go in this race. If he can drag himself into that 3-second range, he could be on for victory here tonight. He is closing corner after corner at this rate, but only a very, very small pace, so it's going to take a bit of effort, a bit of push, and maybe a bit more pace to be found as well if he wants to try and take the victory here tonight. But this is going to be a crucial one now. Paulie 7/10 of a second off the back of Jack, who is now really giving it everything, trying to break that 1 second. By the time we head across the detection line, he's not going to have broken that 1 second. Paulie will still have the overtake available. Looking at the gaps, though, it is definitely coming down. ST2406, 4.6 seconds off the back. And definitely within the penalty range of Jari as well. Will Smooth doing an incredible job as well, also defending from Jari all the while we've been watching this. Jari is yet to make his way through on the Ferrari, although that could be changing very, very soon towards turn 1. The gap coming down 2/10, a 10th and a half by the time they hit the brakes. Not quite close enough for the Audi driver to find a way through. Rando picks up a time penalty as well. Only now 5 drivers remain without penalties. A lot of these are going to cancel each other out. Joker is through up into 8th position ahead of Cook as well, heading down the start-finish straight. But with 7 laps to go, the focus is on Jack pulling the gap to Paulie. But we're at the stage now where we saw the mediums start to die off, and it was a very early call for Jack onto those mediums as well. He's already on 8-lap old tyres. He's got to go 3 laps longer than we saw anybody going. And at that stage of the race, they were really, really struggling for pace. He's managed to pull a second now to Paulie behind. Will Smooth a further second back as well, under pressure from Jari, who is also going to be looking to close in. But this very well could come down to a matter of age of tyre. ST2406 now 4 seconds off the back of our race leader, closing in and could be on to try and take the race victory here on the time penalty that Jack has picked up while battling Paulie off the track down at turn 6. We start lap 30 of 36. The Cadillac driver needs a further 9/10 of a second if he wants to try and get himself into that range. And that is going to be the very, very crucial moment here. Jari is still unable to find his way through. Still just having to sit behind at the moment. And unfortunately, yeah, just doesn't have the tyres available to make the move. Will Smooth has now caught up to the back of Paulie as well. That's going to be an interesting battle for what maybe could be the final podium position. We're yet to know. The other important thing is if Paulie can stay within the 1 second, it doesn't matter if ST2406 makes his way into that 3 seconds. If Paulie is able to stay there as well, that will be enough to secure him victory. As long as he has track position, this could become a 3-way fight on the track for the victory, which could end up handing the win to Jack as well, just as a result of all the battling costing them time. This is incredible stuff. all the while as well, we thought we had ruled him out. Leopold is only 11 seconds off. He's done an incredible job to try and catch up. I don't think it's going to be enough before the end of the race, but hats off to him. He has had the outright pace of everybody here tonight, and now we have got a queue of cars forming here. Captain Foxy is also on the scene now to join this train, battling for what as it stands is on the track second place, but we don't know what position this is going to turn out to be the battle for come the end of this race. It could be first, it could be second, it could be third. We don't know what it's going to end up deciding here. As it stands, though, Paulie is still holding on to that position, and Will Smooth throwing a bit of a lifeline, having that overtake mode available to him as well. There's still a possibility, I think. There is a world where Leopold catches up to this train by the end of the race, with a bit of battling coming into play as well. Just gonna have to wait and see how everything does play out. But yeah, as it stands, Jack 1.7 seconds clear, hasn't really been making major inroads. At this rate, I think we're just barely clear the margin needed to find his way far enough clear to pick up the victory. Wide there from Yari as well. ST2406 has decided now is maybe the chance to put the pressure on. He's got the fresher tyres, also under pressure from Captain Foxy behind on hard compound tyres of similar age. That could be another interesting one coming into play, because those tyres are going to fare a lot better at the end of this race. Here comes ST2406 and Yari into strategy battling here now. These two fighting over the same strategy, but ST2406 without that time penalty, this is going to mean so much more for him. Paulie has gained time on the previous lap. I think there was a mistake for Jack. He is really starting to struggle out there on those old medium compound tyres. He has closed the gap to our race leader now down to 1.2 seconds. He's still finding time out there, and at this rate it could be Paulie picking up victory. It could be Will Smooth if he can find the move here, or maybe ST2406 if he can find the move. I don't think there's going to be enough time to clear that 3-second time penalty now. Yari is still putting the pressure on. Maybe a chance for him to try and clear these guys as well. You never know what could happen here. Time penalties deciding things here in Mexico City as it stands, and everybody just trying to do their best to make the moves. Here comes Yari with a better exit off of the S's, looking to the outside on Will Smooth. Not going to be able to make that move done. Almost hits the back of him. Captain Foxy, ST2406 battling as well. Yari and ST2406 swapping positions. Yari went very wide there through turn number 12, and now under pressure from Captain Foxy as well, which is for track position after their time penalties are applied. But ST2406 is through now up into fourth. He's got clear track to the cars who he will be fighting for victory here tonight. And this is going to be a crucial one now. Captain Foxy, a further 3 seconds applied to their name as well. Going to cost them ultimately in this battle with Yari come the end of the race. But now with Jack only 1.4 seconds clear, this is going to be the fight between Paulie, Will Smooth and ST2406 for victory here tonight. 19 lap old hards for the first of those two drivers. First two of those three drivers, and ST2406 is on 10 lap fresher medium tyres. He seems to be in the best position of them all. But it's really going to come down to if any of these guys pick up a penalty late on in this race, and also who can make the overtakes, because ST2406 has got just over 3 laps to try and make these passes, try and find his way through, not only on Will Smooth, but on Paulie as well. Yes, they've got dying tyres, but now this is his first opportunity. Wide there from the Ferrari driver, and he's immediately going to capitalise to the outside, heading into the stadium section. Will Smooth giving it absolutely everything to try and hang on to this position, holds it for the time being. Here comes Yari fighting back as well to the inside, heading into the hairpin. Not able to find the move just yet, but ST2406 sniffing the nose and almost cost himself that position to the Audi driver once again. Jack has been caught as well. He is really struggling on those medium tyres. This is the state of the tyres that ST2406 and Yari are going to have come the end of this race. Have the mediums run their race here now? Is this the best of their pace? Is this the best of their ability? Here comes ST2406 once again, trying it to the outside here on the Ferrari, tagging wheels, his end plates, making contact there with the Ferrari. Couldn't make it through turn 1 or turn 2. Going to try again on the exit here, but it doesn't seem like he has the grip available to him. All of a sudden, this could be a return of the battle between Paulie and Will Smooth now for victory. Have the mediums run out of grip? Captain Foxy fighting with Yari around the outside through turn number 4, getting a bit of a slide on as they get onto the power. Of course, the time penalty going to cost Captain Foxy the position here, but this really going to spice things up now if these hard compound tyres, 20-lap-old hard compound tyres, are faring just as well, if not better, than the mediums. This is the section where we saw ST2406 making the time previously. That's another penalty for Captain Foxy as well, as they gain on the back of the Cadillac. Captain Foxy arguably has the best tyres of them all, wide though, through the stadium section. And that is going to cost them the position potentially to Yari there. ST2406 fighting with the Ferrari driver again. Tried the move in the hairpin, couldn't get it done. Going to cost him once again. We're starting the penultimate lap of the race. This is your battle for victory. Jack currently leads, but that 3-second time penalty looking to cost him potentially. Here comes Will Smooth on Paulie. Not defense this time around. It's going to be attack. ST2406 also under pressure from Captain Foxy. This track position is going to be oh so important as we head in towards the first corner. Their contact, they all bang. Wheels in there, round goes the Cadillac. That's ST2406 taken out of contention. Contact they all made front to rear as they made their way through the second corner. That is so unfortunate. And unfortunately going to cost him his chance at victory. Now becomes a straight fight here. More contact and round goes Will Smooth. That takes him out of contention. And now it looks set for Paulie with everybody else around him carrying time penalties. Will Smooth, multiple cars back, starting this final lap. Sliding there from, I think that was the Mercedes of Captain Foxy. Paulie is set, looks set to try and take victory as long as he can hang on here on his 21-lap-old hard compound tyres for the end of this race. This is going to be oh so crucial. Captain Foxy fighting through as well. Does he just give it up here? ST2406 picks up a 3-second time penalty here. The McLaren driver still holding on to this track position. He'll be worried about time penalties. He's looking to the inside. There's contact on the final lap as we get ready to start. That could be a penalty headed the way of Paulie. This could change post-race. We never know what is going to be coming. Jack currently leads through the final corner. Captain Foxy now at the second. Paulie with a 3-second time penalty. All the drivers at the front carrying penalties. And now it's Will Smooth in the hot seat for victory potentially here tonight as they head down towards the first corner. Captain Foxy and Jack side by side. Will Smooth is going to be looking to capitalise on all of this. Just got to keep his nose clean for a single lap now. And this could be his victory here in Mexico City. Will Smooth currently running 4th on the track, but with penalties running for all of our drivers. 9 for Foxy, who leads on the track. 3 for Jack, Yari, Paulie, ST2406. They all carry their time penalties. This could decide the fate of the race here tonight. And Will Smooth, who's just got to keep it clean for this final lap, make sure he doesn't pick up a cheeky 3-second time penalty anywhere, and then he will be set to finish in first position here. This is going to be so crucial now as side by side ST2406 and Paulie still battling away even after all the spins. They're giving it everything for the track position, and Paulie will take that position back. But with a potential penalty heading his way, that could change things. Into the stadium section now. He's just got to keep it cool, calm and collected. Captain Foxy has absolutely checked out up at the front of the field. ST2406 and Paulie once again side by side, but we make our way through the stadium section in towards the peril tunnel now, and it's going to be victory for Will Smooth. After penalties have been applied, he kept it clean, he kept it calm, and it's victory for the Ferrari driver side by side. ST2406 just grabs that across the line. The battle is continuing all the way to the checkered flag, but that is our 6th different winner from 7 races. Will Smooth takes it to the top. An incredible drive. Penalties are going to be contested post-race. There's going to be inquiries by the stewards. It was 26,000 separating ST2406 and Paulie at the checkered flag. But that is an incredible way to finish things off here in Mexico City. Definitely a slow burner. But once we got to the end of this race, once the strategy kicked in, once the penalties came into play, the tyres started to fade. In the end, it was Will Smooth on 23-lap-old hard compound tyres who was able to take it to the top, and he wins by 2.6 seconds. What a race we have seen here in Mexico City. That is your fight up at the front, and Leopold did in fact make it all the way through back to this train. Had it not been for his penalty that he had picked up early on, he would have finished this race in 2nd position, despite spinning, breaking his wing, coming in for a pit stop and being 20+ seconds behind. That is absolutely incredible stuff from the Racing Bulls driver. In fact, even Cook behind in 8th position had also caught up to the back of this train. He didn't have any time penalties. So yeah, after the penalties applied, he was 6 seconds off. But yeah, What an incredible way to finish. Race winner, Will Smooth. Absolutely unbelievable stuff to see on that final lap. Only one warning to his name. Leopold with the fastest lap there as well. A 16.7 just shows how strong his pace was to close in at the end. But every single driver, apart from Will Smooth in that top 6, carried a 3-second time penalty in the end. 4th on the track, first in the race. That is the most important thing. It's Will Smooth who takes victory here in Mexico City. Jack comes home in 2nd, Yari in 3rd, 80 milliseconds behind 2nd place. They're just missing out. ST2406 comes home in 4th, and then Paulie again missing out by such fine margins coming across the line. Leopold in 6th, despite all the antics that went on later on in the race for him. Captain Foxy comes home in 7th after all those penalties. First on the road for the Mercedes driver. Cook in 8th, Joker in 9th. C156 grounds out the points paying positions. Rando in 11th, MH1463 in 12th, the A-Team in 13th, Moist in 14th, Signolo in 15th. And then we had Liam Bearder, Richie and Rory, your 3 drivers who failed to finish the race here tonight. But wow, what an incredible... My camera is definitely frozen. Let me try and fix that quickly. As I look off in shock into the distance. Is it? There we go. What an incredible way to finish things off here tonight. That was definitely one of the endings of all time to a race. I'm still slightly in shock at exactly what we just saw. So many battles in those final few laps, and ultimately the penalties deciding the fate. We saw Will Smooth get spun around, and then he was able to fight his way back through and still finish close enough that he ended up taking the victory. He was only 4/10 off of Jack, who had the 3-second time penalty as well. That was just an incredible feat of racing in those final few laps. A bit of contact here and there, but in the end, Will Smooth was able to fight his way through and take victory. We will quickly have a look at the calendar for you once again as well. Just to give you a quick reminder, it is a week out of sync, so just shift all of the dates up one, and then that will give you the correct dates. Baku next time out on the 9th of August, Bahrain on the 16th of August, then we head to China, Shanghai on the 23rd of August, then it's Miami on the 30th, and the season finale in Suzuka on the 6th of September. But there we go, guys. What a race. I am very, very happy with how that one has gone. Incredible action. Yeah, took a bit to get going, but once the strategies were converging at the end of that race, it was an incredible one, and a very deserved victory for Will Smooth. But yeah, thank you everybody for joining us here tonight. We will be back next week in Baku, and I expect we're going to be seeing a lot of carnage. So yeah, thank you everybody for watching, and we'll see you all next week. Goodbye.